should faith schools be compelled by law to tell pupils that being gay is normal and harmless? Yes, says the Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg, who told Attitude magazine he wants all schools, including faith schools, to do just that, which would be quite awkward for Catholic schools, as Pope Benedict XVI said recently that saving humanity from homosexuality was just as important as saving the rainforest. Get off the fence, Your Holiness, please. How about this other pronouncement? Homosexuality is the destruction of God's work. I think we know where he's coming from, and he should know, after all, because he is God's voice on earth. Does Nick Clegg know better? Well, to be fair, it's not just Catholics who have a problem with gays. All Islamic sects disapprove of homosexuality. Orthodox Judaism sees it as sinful, and Sikh leaders say it goes against their faith. The law currently states no faith school should be compelled to teach aspects of sex education which are incompatible with their beliefs. I think that was brought in by New Labour. So what Clegg is proposing is a massive change, but is it needed, Stephen?
I don't think it's needed. I think people choose a faith school for that reason. It's a faith school, and if that faith doesn't particularly accommodate any other faiths or other beliefs, I don't think they should be forced to. What I think is quite sad in a modern society, personally, my own thoughts, is that people feel the need to go to a faith school when there's only one type of person, I believe, in the world. That's the human race.
Well, I can tell you why. A lot of my friends have suddenly rediscovered their religion, which means going to church on Sundays, and that is because their children will statistically get a much better education in terms of exam results by going to a faith school than a bog-standard Labour comp.
So therefore, the reasoning isn't necessarily because of the faith.
No.
It's about there are other benefits.
So you send your child there just because you want them to get a good academic result, and they are told... they're not going to be told that homosexuality is normal and harmless, but it is not beyond the realms of possibility, although I don't think it happened at my school, that you could be taught that homosexuality is evil and an abomination and goes against God's law, which might not be very helpful for any young children, teenagers who may be coming to terms with their sexuality and their identity as homosexual.
It's not helpful at all. I don't think it's helpful to anybody. I think we should all be able to accept that there are people on this planet, our neighbours, who are very different from us.
I agree, but Nick Clegg is saying that needs to be taught in schools.
Well, that's very...
All schools.
Well, I think there should be a lesson in terms of humanity, which isn't necessarily linked to faith, because that's going to just divide so many people who believe one thing or the other. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, some people may think that being homosexual or lesbian is an abomination, but then, you know, you look in their own private lives and see what happens, and you know, let he who without sin cast the first stone.
OK. Dan, do you think we need... should politicians get involved in a debate like this?
Well, I think politicians should get involved in debates like this because something that I find very difficult indeed, we as taxpayers pay for faith schools. In a world that is torn apart by bigotry and difference and people trying to reinforce the differences between us, the British taxpayer funds a separate system of education for kids of different, or rather, kids not of different faith, with children of parents with different faiths. So I believe that kids don't actually have faith until it's rammed down their throats. So I disapprove of faith schools enormously. I disapprove of the Catholic Church's teaching on homosexuality. It is worth commenting, that's from Leviticus, homosexuality is an abomination. It's also an abomination to work on the Sabbath or to wear clothes with different kinds of weave in them or to plant different kinds of crops side by side. So perhaps we...
they weren't too hot on divorce either.
Yeah, they weren't too hot on divorce, so perhaps the Pope should start worrying about working on a Sunday as well. But I mean, I think Nick Clegg's absolutely right. But I'm frankly embarrassed that in 21st century Britain we're even having these kind of discussions.
But it's a very awkward discussion, is it? That you tell the Catholic schools in this country to teach something which goes against what their religious leader is saying.
I've got friends who went to Catholic schools that were not taught about contraception, birth control, and the facts of life, which I find absolutely staggering.
OK. What do you think, Dom?
Well, I think the most important thing about school, faith time, is I don't have any religion in my life at all, so I find the whole thing of bad teachings on homosexuality is alien. So the most important thing is to prepare the children for the world that they're going to spend their lives in and live in.
No, you are wrong. If you go to a Catholic school, it is to train them in the ways of the Catholic Church. That would be the number priority, so we're all God's children and they need to carry on doing God's work. That would be the priority. They're good Catholics through and through.
I think as much as, you know, homosexuality is a part of life. They can still have an opinion on it, but kind of, I don't know. I just find the whole thing really disturbing that kids are told to believe a certain thing. It's just so against the way that I was brought up. I don't know. I don't know. I think absolutely that the government is right and that children, Catholic school or not, should be told that homosexuality
OK, I mean, it's
is a
Nick
choice.
Clegg, to be fair, and his chance of getting in government are even slimmer than mine.
Sorry, yeah. I think they should be, taught
Gordon
about
Brown's
choice.
come the next election. I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll be really close. OK, well, I'm going to chip in my tuppenny worth before we go to you, which is I actually think maybe it's a bad idea to get involved in this discussion. I went to a Catholic school. They didn't go around saying that homosexuality was evil, as far as I can recall, and we all made up our own minds, and maybe that's the solution, because I think to force Catholic school to go against the teachings of their religious leader would create more problems than it will solve. But we'll find out what you think. Kirsty.
We have Emma on line 1.
Emma, good morning.
Morning.
So, should Catholic schools be compelled to teach that homosexuality is harmless and
No, I think they should be encouraged to teach it factually. Schools are there to teach facts, not opinions. So therefore they should be encouraged to teach the facts of homosexuality.
Well, Emma, let's be fair, to balance it out, I mean, if the Pope says homosexuality is the destruction of God's work, I'm not entirely sure that's a fact, but that's where we start with the Catholic Church. Does that not need to be some kind of balance there?
OK, I mean, my son is baptised Catholic. He goes to a Catholic infant school. He's 5 years old.
Right.
And a few months ago, he asked the question, what is gay? Which my husband was quite mortified. And I just answered him factually that instead of a man and a woman kissing, which is what you see at home, it's 2 men or 2 ladies.
Right, Emma, which is a perfectly fair explanation, but you are not running a Catholic school, and if you were running a Catholic school and you were taking orders from the boss, you would have to say that homosexuality is the destruction of God's work and is more damaging to society than the destruction of the rainforest. That's what you'd have to say. And Nick Clegg is saying, no, you need to balance that out by saying, actually, you've got to teach that homosexuality is harmless.
I'm inclined to actually agree with Nick Clegg in that. I'm afraid that, it's to tell children that it's evil and wrong is just going to incite hatred, it's going to incite the wrong things, and I don't think that a leader should be saying that.
OK. So, Nick Clegg will be thrilled. Thank you. That's one vote we've got for him. Let's have another case.
On line 2, we've got Nora.
Nora, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Matthew.
Go on.
Personally, I don't think it should be taught as normal in the faith school, because we are free, of course, to choose what we are, what we're going to be, but God will judge us all. And the faith school are meant to teach the children the particular faith. If it's a Jewish school or Catholic school or a Muslim school, and that's what parents send their children to be taught. And I think it will be dishonesty to say to the children, it is a normal thing, because that's not the scripture has been said. It's not
presumably, Nora, you also take a dim view of people wearing a cloth with 2 different weaves in it then as well.
No, we do respect. The faith school should teach the children to respect all people, all diversity. But the point is,
Nora, let's just stick with that point again. Let's just stick with that point again, Nora, which is, if they're supposed to teach people, that we should all love each other, etc., how can you square that with the Pope saying that homosexuality is the destruction of God's work?
It's not the Pope's opinion. It's what's written in the book. It's what we... OK, it's very simple. You choose whatever you want to be, but God said it is an evil act, and
I'm not interested in the final demand. I want to know about schooling. We're talking about Nick Clegg, and he's saying what Catholic schools should do, that they should tell pupils that homosexuality is harmless, which contradicts what the Pope says. So how do you make that... What would you do? Would you listen to what Nick Clegg says and force schools to say...
Of course not. If they are Catholic, they should abide what the Catholics...
Thank you. OK, Nora, thank you.
And the other thing is, it's not only normal from the religious point of view. I studied medicine, and even in the medical books, it's referred to as an abnormal relationship. So how come in Catholic schools...
I think, Nora, you'll find it depends on what medical books you read. Thank you for the call. Let's have another.
We have Robert on line 3.
Well, it could be worse. We could have Iris Robinson on, so that's one way. I don't know if you heard her views on homosexuality.
I know, yeah. You heard her views, and then look what happened to her.
Yeah, well, yeah. OK, one more.
On line 3, we've got Robert.
OK, thank you very much. Morning, Robert.
Good morning, Matt.
Is Nick Clegg right? Do Catholic schools need to be taught how to teach homosexuality, that it's harmless?
I think that the Catholic Church needs to actually look at its own reputation for child abuse and ignore this sort of propaganda in from politicians.
Ignore this.
Ignore the proper. It's you know, something that Nick Clegg has said. It's going to get him press coverage. It's going to highlight his political view.
But it's an interesting point, isn't it, Robert, that you have schools, as Dan said, funded by us, by taxpayers, regular people, fund schools that, if they were to adopt the Pope's view, their religious leader's view, are extremely discriminatory towards homosexuals. Now, that's not acceptable, is it? Public funds used to propagate negative views about homosexuals. So Nick Clegg is saying that needs to be addressed, but it goes against Catholic teachings. How do you square that? I think it's a fascinating issue Nick Clegg's flagged up.
I quite agree, but I mean, this is one of these topics of conversation that comes up every now and again, and then the Pope says what he says, and the Pope has never said anything about the abuse and sexual abuse of children by the Roman Catholic Church.